Well, isn't this a turn up for the books? Now, as you're aware, no footage for the Daleks was filmed, which is why we are here, improvising this little scene so that you actually have something to fucking look at in the documentary. This is the Red Dwarf Roblox and Doctor Who crossover episode, The Daleks. The Daleks, I don't think that script was ever finished.
It was awful.
I've never read it fully, because I don't like it.
Could do better. It's my first ever Doctor Who script I wrote.
It's Marc's second attempt to combine Doctor Who and Red Dwarf. The Doctor hacks into the game through means of a very complicated bit of exposition by Holly, which I remember reading and finding very confusing about a virtual server on a cloud that was being broadcasted across the universe. It was like, what?
Right, the plot is the Doctor. Basically, the game, rather than using the memory of the Red Dwarf, it's got this futuristic Wi-Fi kind of thing which is connected to the universe. It's like a local network, so it's got a radius around Red Dwarf. As soon as something gets in that radius, it can be connected.
The TARDIS lands, there's a Doctor, which is apparently the one that didn't exist at that time the script was written.
As you can see, I am a deliberately generic representation of the Doctor. This is because in the original script, the Doctor was not specified. Here on Red Dwarf Roblox, vagueness is our best feature.
When the Daleks find it, they connect themselves to the servers. They'd rather kill all the game characters so that they could get the location that way, so they have more fun out of it.
And the Doctor managed to hack into it and load himself onto the game. It was Marc's way of satisfying the fact that, hey, I have Doctor Who travel in time, I have these TARDISes that are fully functioning at my disposal, I want to use them, here we go. Because, of course, the Great Battle, which had previously used a private version of travel in time, or something similar to that, it's probably not quite that game-ish, but still very similar.
It's basically a fan fiction of Red Dwarf and Doctor Who.
He had it at his disposal, so he wants to use it, so he ties them in to this really weird episode where the Daleks also hack into the game and start attacking Red Dwarf. There was quite a nice bit with a breach of the hull, and Marc was going to film on the set sideways so the crew would fall through the corridor and hold on to bits of railing and things like that. That would have been quite a nice effect to do. But that was the only real bit of the Daleks that's worth my time.
The ending was going to be they land inside Red Dwarf, these teleporters flown them back, and then he hacks it into the game files and puts a lockdown protocol onto the game.
I only just realised how stupid it is.
So it kicks everything out except what's meant to be there, including him. So he basically, he sacrifices his virtual self. He removes himself from existence in the game, yes. Wakes up in real space in his TARDIS, having just saved the crew.
So I intended it to be with Peter Capaldi. I had a psychic link with Stephen Moffat.
The original version, called The Dalek, basically a Dalek has been damaged, found by the Red Dwarf crew, bring it on because they think that they can get technology out of it, not knowing it's a living being. No one notices, it wakes up, goes around, trying sort of making curry or something, and it shoots the wall next to him as he's walking away, doesn't still notice anything. And the doctor just appears and goes, "You do realise you're being shot by a Dalek, don't you?" Actually, it was Matt Smith Doctor, so he actually makes Rimmer crash because he's being annoying.
There were a couple of miniature shots involving the TARDIS alongside Starbug. Marc did downscale using a plugin, one of his travel in time TARDISes, but I did decide that if I was going to be involved in the miniatures for this episode, that I would build a TARDIS myself. So I was definitely going to build my own TARDIS using surface GUIs and billboard GUIs for the little light, and I was going to make it be able to fly around and spin around. And I'm sure that if we'd got around to the miniatures that episode, Marc would have seen it, and within a split second said, "That's not mine," and refused to film with it. So we'd have been there for 2 hours trying to convince him to film because we were all there, and he'd be like, "No, I want my TARDIS." Even when he was shown what it would do, he still wouldn't want it. If it was my series, I wouldn't have done this episode because the Daleks, I don't like it. I don't like crossovers. But even then, it's just not a good episode.
No, I think the Daleks is my favourite. I mean, the sheer
imagination and creativity behind it.
Yeah. The idea of bringing two shows together. It's original, it is, John. Excellent plot, great characters, specified. There's no plot holes at all, John. You know what all the characters are like.
That bit, that bit about the worldwide server across the galaxy. That's the best bit.
Yeah. How, like, probably the entire ship is dedicated to servers to broadcast across millions of planets. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's my favourite episode. Yeah.